Okay, we're going to go ahead and start. Welcome everyone to the monthly Satsang of Sri Anandamayi Ma. And I always make this disclaimer, we are recording this as we do post it on our YouTube website, which is Anandamayi Ma Satsang West. And many people take advantage of that later to hear these readings and benefit from the discussions we have. But please don't be shy. And so if you participate, you will be recorded, but don't be shy because it's people who love Ma or who want to know about Ma, or only people who watch this. So we ask you to participate fully and enjoy our time together. So on this day, it seems live, we have much smaller group than usual because it's a very auspicious day. On this one day, it's Easter in the Christian tradition, both East and West, because usually the Eastern and Western churches have different days, but this year they're both on the same day. So it's Easter, it's the last day of the Jewish Passover, it's in the Sikh religion, it's Baisakhi Day. So it's kind of a very auspicious astrological and spiritual day. So we have fewer people, but also it means it's a good time to tune into Ma. So I always like to start by asking people to really be thinking about what we're doing here. Why are we meeting with Anandamayi Ma? I never tire of saying that Ma said many times we can only think of her when she first thinks of us. So Ma has thought of each of us and called each of us to be here, to hear her readings, to hear her words, to think about her life. And this is such a wonderful thing because it means we already have Ma's grace. We don't have to pray and say, Ma, please bless me. Ma has already thought of us. That's why we've thought of her. So we're here together in the downfall of Ma's great grace. And we can think, who is Anandamayi Ma? She is an eternal force. She's an eternal spiritual reality that stepped into this world of time and space for a short period of, 86 years? And even though she left her body in 1982, she's still very much present with us, very much interactive with us. I think all of you know who are tuned in, you've had some experience with Ma being present and hearing you and guiding you. And the more we tune into her and the more we develop this inner skill of tuning into her, the more we benefit from her presence. So what we're going to think about today is her life and what different people have experienced with her, and then we'll read some of her teachings and her spontaneous talks, and basically what she brought and what she asks of us. Because we received her grace, but then that implies that we have some kind of responsibility in a sense of how do we respond to this grace. Because she came with one, you could say, mission, and that is to bring us to illumination, bring us to the fulfillment of our deepest spiritual destiny, of our knowledge of our own self, our knowledge of God, our knowledge of our interconnection with the universe. And this is what Ma did. She brought spirituality by her very presence. So we always ask people's patience in this. It'll be shorter today because it's very much smaller group today. But one of our reasons for starting this satsang is that we wanted to have community also. That we want to have a place where people who are touched by Ma, like we all are, can come and meet together. And even though it's only online, we now have much more interaction. I'm meeting with many people in person now that have been in our satsang group. People have become friends who didn't know each other before. So we're having more of this feeling of community. And we're here to support each other, to be family, to think of Ma together, to help each other and inspire each other and encourage each other. So I ask your patience, and we will have introductions of everybody who's here. So when we'll start with the introductions of who's here, and then when Katya will call your name, and when she calls your name, just briefly unmute, which is in the left side of your screen, or you can even just push your space bar and tell just your name and where you're from at this point. And then we can, later on we'll have a more discussion. But for starters, my name, for people who haven't been here before, my name is Mangalananda, and I received Diksha from Anandamayi Ma in 1973 at her Vrindavan ashram. and I've been living in her lineage ever since in her ashrams in America and India. And I was sent by Ma's main Swami in 2001 back to India to live in her ashram in Omkareshwar to help start a school. And I lived there and taught and did my sadhana for 12 years. And I was given the title Acharya by that ashram, which means just a lineage teacher. We pass on Ma's teachings. We have nothing in ourselves, but we try to direct people to Ma's teachings and share our experience of trying to live those teachings, so that we can all work together in that. We have someone else, my wife Gloria. She'll be in a second. She'll be here in a second. Our co-host Pragya Halstrom is not here today because of family obligations for Easter, but she's usually here. She hosts the Matri Satsang in the Boston area and is the author of several books, one of which we'll read from today in our readings. And we have today, and Renu, who is our tech host, is usually here. That cannot be here also today. But we do have our dear friend Katia from Portugal. So Katia, if you can just introduce yourself and then call on people by name, and we'll see. And if you would, please turn on your video so we can see your face and we can all rejoice in each other's presence, okay? Katia?
Jai Ma, dear ones. Jai Ma. It's Katia from Portugal, and very, very happy to be here with you on this very auspicious day, as Swamiji Mangalanandaji just spoke. And many blessings to you. So first on the participants list is Chris Redfield.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris. I'm from Humboldt County up in Northern California on the coast. Currently in New Hampshire.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
You've been coming for a while. That's very nice. Happy to see you.
Yeah. Great to see you. I'm really grateful to be here.
Jai Ma. We have some interesting readings and discussions today, too. Very good. Jai Ma.
Jai Ma. Next is Michael Zeev.
Jai Ma. I'm here in Sebastopol, California. And great to be with you all.
Good to see you, Michael. And Michael was recently visiting our ashram in India, Ma Sharanam Ashram, and we're going to ask him at the beginning of our discussion period to share his experiences of that, because I think that will be interesting to people also.
Next is David Herring. David and Linda, you have to unmute, please.
Push the unmute button, bottom left. We can't hear you, David and Linda. You got to push bottom left, unmute on your screen.
Hello. Yeah, so we are David and Linda. We live in Virginia, and we met Mangalananda and Gloria last summer. So, and that was very beautiful to have them here in Virginia, so near.
Jamie, I did a program at Yogaville, Swami Satchidananda's Yogaville. They invited us to come and do some teachings and some kirtan, and it was nice, very nice time together.
Jai Ma. Next is Ramdev.
I'm Ramdev. I live in Fairfax, California, not far from where Mangalananda lives. He was doing a kirtan here at the local yoga studio, and people said, you two guys have to meet each other, so we did. And when he found out that I had spent some time with Ma in India back in the early 1970s, he invited me to come today to tell you a little bit about my experiences.
Wonderful. Very good to see you, Ramdev. Ramdev was also with the great saint Neem Karoli Baba, who was also a very close friend of Ma. And she works a lot with the Living and Dying. You're founder, right? The Living Dying Foundation.
Living Dying Project, livingdying.org, where we offer free of charge spiritual support to people who have life-threatening illnesses, people who are grieving, people who are caregiving. I invite you to look at our website, livingdying.org.
Beautiful, beautiful work, beautiful statement. Beautiful. And we're very, very happy to have you with us today, Ram.
Happy to be here.
Good.
So next is Jennifer.
Hello, happy Easter, happy Passover, happy day of auspiciousness. I'm Jennifer. I live in Seattle.
Very good, Jennifer. Always happy to see you. We met in the Bahamas at Shivananda Ashram, and I was invited there to do some work. And yeah, good. We'll talk later, okay? Make point of it.
So welcome. Next is Nishkala.
Hello, everyone. It's Nishkala. I live in Ithaca, New York. I'm a little woozy today from allergies, but I'm very glad to be here.
Very good to see you as always. Jai Ma.
Good to see you. Jai Ma.
Jai Ma. Next is Mikey.
Hey everybody, I'm Mikey. I'm from Western Massachusetts. Really blessed to be here with you guys.
Good to see you. Very good. Jai Ma. Have you ever had contact with Pragya and her group up there in the Boston area? Pragya Hallstrom?
I haven't, not yet, no.
Good.
But yeah.
She hosts a
Yeah.
lot of things near Amherst. Very good.
Yeah, we're right in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Wonderful. Very good contact. Unfortunately, she's usually here, but she's, like I say, she's with her family for Easter. Anyway, welcome, Mikey. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And Shivank.
Jai Ma, this is Sanjay. I'm Shivank from Wichita, Kansas State. Jai Ma.
Good to see you both. We've missed you
Jai Ma.
recently.
Yeah, I had been to India for 2 months almost, and then got a chance to, in the Master Ashram for a couple of days there also.
Good. Mike is going to tell of his experience here. Maybe you can say a little something too. Then we want to hear from Ramdev after that. But good to see you both.
Sure.
They've both been very active and very helpful in our ashram in India.
Thank you.
Good friends. Say Ma. Is that everybody?
Yes, it's everybody.
Yeah, small group. Right? Well,
Yeah, small group.
we have one more person who's coming over here right now. This is my wife, Gloria. We were up very late last night at an Easter service, so. Okay. Anyway, she'll be here in a second. So let's start. We always like to start with Ma's words of reassurance. And I want to add something today, too. Where we know that Ma hears this. That she's not just a picture or a blank picture on a wall. So these are Ma's own words of assurance, which we always read just to remind ourselves. Ma says, I am ever with each one of you, wherever you happen to be. But your vision is tied down to worldly matters, and you have little time to direct your eyes to this body and your thoughts and actions. What can I do? But know it for certain that whatever you do in thought and deed, whether you are near or in distant lands, never escapes my loving attention. Just as at a flash of torchlight, your faces gleam forth in their bold outlines. All your facial expressions appear in my mind when you meditate on me or talk about me or sit down to pray to me. You see Ma in her absolute universal consciousness. She's always aware of us. And then when we think of her, she thinks of us, we think of her, that connection is made, and she's here. She continues. You remember she said I sometimes, but usually she didn't use her pronoun. She just said this body, Yeshurya, when she spoke. For this body, the question of accepting or declining anyone does not arise. At all times and under all circumstances, in inspiration and in dryness, this body remains and ever will remain with everyone. Ma is never absent from us. Just to get off the, illustrate this a little, I'm remembering a story of how one of Ma's Swamis, we went to the very exact spot. One of Ma's Swamis in North India was walking up in the Himalayas, and he came around a corner, and there was a big, ferocious tiger kind of crouching and looking at him, and he freaked out that this is like a death sentence in the Himalayas because they're very ferocious. And he just pronounced, he said, Maha, 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 Jai Maha, Jai Maha, Jai Maha, oh Maha, and the tiger looked at him and turned and left. He was so terrified, but he never told anybody this. He never mentioned it to anybody. It's just like, whew, wow. And then later, a few months later, he was walking with Ma. Ma had come in his area. He was walking with Ma in the exact place, and Ma stopped and said, "Oh, this is where the tiger confronted you." And he said, "Ma, how do you know that?" And Ma smiled and said, "Don't you know I'm always with you?" So just little reminders that could always help us. These are Ma's own words. He's speaking in third person. In all your activities and all your sadhana, Ma is with you. With perfect repose, sit still, thinking, in the midst of emptiness, Ma is with me. This will give you ananda, bliss. Whether you meditate quietly or are lying down, feel, Ma is with me at every single moment. So we need to keep reminding ourselves of this. And how does she do it? She explains here. The Atma, the true immortal soul of this body, is the Atma of all. It cannot be that anyone anywhere is not Ma's very own, because she connects with us through the deepest, deepest self. And here's Gloria.
Jai Ma, so happy to be here. Good to be with the circle of friends.
Yeah. Ma says very beautifully, for one who knows me, I am one with him. For one who wants to know me, I am very near to him. And for one who does not know me, I am a beggar before him. So Ma wants to relate to us. Beautiful thing. Ma, let's conclude. We have more, but I kind of pick different ones every time. Ma says, anyone calling out for God from any land, in any language, and in any age, remember their cries reach this heart like waves crashing onto the shore. So she hears this, and I want to add a little extra thing this week that I want to talk about how the saints saw Ma. By the saints, I mean people who had either had very high realization or had God realization, who had their eyes open, who had that veil removed between the self and the mind that we have. The Ma talks about this avarana. The saints had clear vision. And like people like Swami Chidananda. Swami Chidananda was the main disciple of Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh, the great master who all of India venerates. Swami Chidananda, of course, Ma met Swami Shivananda also. But Swami Chidananda was a realized being, and he literally worshipped Ma whenever he had a chance. I met him several times with Ma. He would come and speak at events that Ma was at. And he would just, wherever he was, Ma would be at a train station. Here was this, he was venerated as one of India's greatest yogis, living yogis. And he would come and he would stretch out full length on the ground at Ma's feet on a railway platform and say, Ma, 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 Ma. We met a great saint named Narayan Maharaj, who was the head of the Santaram Mandir in Gujarat, who is also, it's a centuries old lineage, and in the city of Nadia, everyone greets each other with Jai Maharaj. He's like the figure of the whole city. And when Ma came and visited there, he literally ran up to her again, stretched full out, and just cried, Ma, 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 like a child. So here's a couple things I found in my research since this last month. Triveni Puraji, the eminent realized saint of Punjab, widely known as Khana Baba, was asked by a devotee whether Ma was an avatar. An avatar is, descent of God into the world. Triveni Puri Baba said, avatar is a small thing. Ma is that. Tat. He used the Sanskrit word tat. Ma is that from where the avatars incarnate. He also said, quote, as the rivers meet the ocean, but no variation of its level takes place, similarly, all the religions and bhavas are destined towards Ma, and under all circumstances, Ma always remains in the same state. As there is no limitation of the ocean, similarly, Ma cannot be bound within limits. So one more, let's do a couple more. The great yogi Sri Balananda Brahmachari once told Akhandananda Swami. Akhandananda Swami was Didi, Guru Prita Didi's father, who was one of Ma's early devotees. The great yogi Sri Balananda Brahmachari once told Akhandananda Swami, quote, the company of Ma you have kept, do not ever leave it. Ma is not a sadhika, that means one who practices sadhana. She is nitya siddha, eternally perfect. She is born for some work and will leave as soon as that work is completed. She doesn't have to do any kind of sadhana bhajan, that means spiritual practice. In other words, she wasn't a aspirant, a striving aspirant like we are. She's the manifestation of the goal. One more. In 1926, Ma was invited to Balananda Brahmachari, and this is the one who just spoke. In 1926, Ma was invited by Balananda Brahmachari to his ashram after Pran Gopal Babu showed a picture of Ma to his guru, Sri Balananda. Ma and Balananda Swami physically met for the first time at Dhyan Mandir. Balananda Brahmachari was flooded with delight at her presence and exclaimed, "Ma, I have already had several visions of you. Now you are here giving darshan in your material form." So as a great yogi, he saw her in his spiritual life before he ever met her in the flesh. Swamiji treated her like a child and fed her with some fruit. Next day she was invited again when Swamiji gifted her with raksha and a red dress. A kirtan was on and Ma was dancing as Swamiji watched in admiration. Ma placed her hand on Swamiji's head and took him aside to the Jamandir, where the two were together in utter seclusion, speaking about deep things for a long time. So I read these things just so we can increase our faith in Ma, that we know that Ma hears us, Ma is capable of saving us. Ma, seen by the great ones, is something far beyond our capacity to understand. Obviously, the human mind can't understand. But we want to increase our faith and our surrender to Ma by hearing these things. Okay, so we always, before we do some readings, we're tuning into Ma through our intellect in a little bit now, but let's tune into Ma through our heart. So we're going to ask our dear sister Katya to sing this Om Ma Sharanam Kirtan we always start with. Om Ma Sharanam. Sharanam means a place of refuge. So we're saying, Ma, you're our refuge, you're our place of rest and peace and stability. So let's tune into Katya and just feel Ma's presence in our heart through our singing, okay? Katya?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, perfect.
Yes, okay. Om Ma Sharanam. Anandamayi Ma, 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 Anandamayi Sharanam, Om 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 Sharanam. One last time all together. Om Sharanam. Om Sharanam. Om Sharanam. Om Sharanam. Om Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai.
Thank you, Katya. It's beautiful as always.
Thank you.
And let's sit quietly for a moment and just kind of feel Ma's presence with us. Just tune into her, learn that wonderful trick. Oh, Ma. We don't do a lot of planning for these satsangs, right? We just kind of open up and see what Ma reveals to us. But this is interesting. Since our last meeting, something has come up in my studies, which I thought was interesting. Those of you who were here last month, somehow just in the discussion it came up, and I told a story that Swami Bhaskarnandaji had told me. Swami Bhaskarnanda was Ma's main Swami. He was the one who sent me back to India in 2001, and I was able in the last 10 years of his life to spend a lot of time with him. One time he told me personally, we were just walking, and I related the story last month how Ma told him one time when they were in Jagannath Puri. Jagannath Puri is on the east coast of India. It's one of the main Krishna shrines where the temple of Jagannath is, Lord of the universe. About how she had this vision in the middle of the night where she saw herself standing in place of Jagannath. And to kind of temper this a little bit, those of you who have studied Ma's teachings and who knew Ma, she was the embodiment of humility. When people would ask her who she was, I mean, a few times she would reveal herself to close devotees, but usually she would say, I'm just a little girl, I'm just a child. You come to me out of your own love, you know, I prattle like a child, she would say. So she never said, I am this or I am that. So these rare times when she revealed herself are really very historically interesting to us that we study them. We get a glimpse of what it is. But anyway, there was this weird thing about how she saw herself standing there, and a voice came, in Treta Yuga I came as Krishna, in Kali Yuga I came as Ma. And she told us to Swami Bhaskarnanda, he told me, and that just was kind of passing in our conversation last month at our meeting here. And then this article just came up in my view in the past couple of weeks. I thought it was really interesting, and it's more stating that. Now, and I mentioned last time there had even been a book written about the similarities between Ma and Krishna and their unity. But this is very much that Ma is very connected with the Jagannath Mandir, which is interesting. Now, what does this mean to us? How the heck should we possibly know? You know, Ma is so beyond the intellect, but it's just interesting to note these things. On the ultimate level, Ma always stressed everything comes from unity and goes back into unity. She said whether you worship Christ or Allah or Krishna, or it's all this one light of Brahman. But on the relative level that we live in, there are different things that should be taken notice of, different connections, different things. So just listen to this. This is kind of interesting. While staying at Puri is the city where Jagannath is. And another note, it talks about the Ratha Yatra. The Ratha Yatra is when they bring out the images of Subhadra, Jagannath, and Balaram, and they carry them in a cart, a chariot. A chariot is called Ratha in Sanskrit. And they carry the streets pulled by thousands and thousands of devotees, and you get darshan of them. It's an amazing experience. So that's what's referred to as the Ratha Yatra, and the Ratha is a chariot. While staying at Puri, the Ratha Yatra ceremony, the then very aged Didi Ma is Ma's mother, told Ma remorsefully that since her desire of personally touching Lord Jagannath remained unfulfilled, showing her own body, Ma said, "Touch this body, and in doing so, you will have touched Jagannath." He said this to her own mother. So you see, again, we're just gleaning these little, what do they mean? We don't know. We're gleaning them. This whole article is about this, though. In 1940, Ma was not well, so she was in Puri to rest. We have a small ashram there on the beach. Lots of devotees were there as usual. From there, Sri Ma went for a few days to Bhubaneswar. When she was away, a few devotees went to Jagannath Temple for darshan in Puri. One of the devotees was Majala Didi, a respected elder devotee of Ma. As he entered, they were very startled to see Ma in person inside the temple. Majala Didi was amazed when she was gazing on the murti in the temple to see Ma standing there instead of Jagannath. Ma was radiantly smiling at her. She, for a moment, thought it was a trick of her eyes, but for a few minutes she kept staring and Ma was still there. She couldn't believe her eyes, so she turned to the other people around and found them also staring and saying to each other, "Look, Ma is standing in the shrine." So they, for a short time, also saw Ma standing there. Ma last came to Puri in 1979 at the time of the Ratha Yatra, chariot festival procession of Lord Jagannath. All the pundits asked Ma to be the first to pull the Ratha. Then the public festival would start with this one act. Ma was so honored, even by the pundits, they asked her to begin the whole procession. Ma agreed. Ma was going on the yatra with the devotees. They did not allow anyone to go near the Rath, the chariot, but they took only Ma, and she was the very first to pull the Ratha's rope. Then the yatra began. Devotees were not allowed to go near, and they were unhappy. When they returned to the ashram with Ma, they said, "Ma, you pulled the Ratha, but we are sad that we weren't able to." So Ma said, "Go to the market and buy 4 wheels and a rope." They went and got them and came back. Ma had them put the wheels on her chair and tie it to the rope. Ma then sat in the chair, and after that they said they should pull her. They did that with great joy. Afterwards, Ma said, "Now you will pull Jagannath." So see, these are very rare times, because Ma usually just said, "I'm your little girl, I'm this and that," where she slightly revealed herself to people who really loved her. So there's more. Once Makan Babu took this body, now I think this is Ma speaking. This is Ma speaking. Once Makan Babu took this body to Jagannath Mandir in Puri to see the images. As this body was approaching, its breathing became faint and the steps slowed down. In other words, Ma was going to an altered state of consciousness. Makan Babu said, "Chalo, Ma," that means come on. But in fact, what was this body seeing? The 3 murtis of Balaram, Subhadra, and Jagannath. That's the 3 forms of Krishna, his brother and his sister there, and Jagannath. The 3 murtis had taken one form, and around the neck there were 3 beautiful garlands, not such as you prepare in this world, one below the other, and one large garland around all 3, touching the feet of the deity, and out of it there was a small opening coming and a strong, powerful light shining. So Ma had this special vision of Jagannath while she was there. Okay, here's another account. So Puri, who is Ajay Bhai's father, another devotee, had taken Ma to Bhubaneswar by car just for a short trip. He was driving with Swami Paramananda, Didi, that's Guru Pradidi, and Krishnananda Avadut. This is another wonderful saint who used to come often to Ma's ashram to speak. From there, they decided to go to the Juggernaut temple in Puri. When they reached, Sopori decided to give them a guided tour, so they entered the temple. But there was a huge crowd, and in that scuffle, Paramananda, Didi, and Avaduchi were separated from Ma and Sopori. So Ma was with him. Sopori could not find them, so he got very upset. Ma obviously knew this, and because his guiding tour wasn't happening, Ma took over the tour and took them inside the temple and asked him to go behind the temple and do darshan of a very ancient Devi Murti, Bimala Devi. There's a note here. The famous Jagannath temple in Puri is also home to one of the most important Shakti Peeths dedicated to Bimala Devi. In the Daksha Yagya tale, it is said the navel of Sati fell in this place. This is the long story. The story of the Shakti Peeths is where the different parts of Sita,
Sati.
Parvati Sati fell. You know, it's in Hindu thought. So they're very powerful Shakti Peeths. It means places where the Devi is worshipped. So it's behind Jagannath Mandir. She said, go behind this temple and see there's a very ancient Devi temple. Go for darshan. She became the guide and her child was upset. Both of them went behind, and as Soporiji stood in front of the Devi that drew pranam, what did he see? The Devi that was on the altar turned into Anandamayi Ma. Then in a little while he turned to see whether Ma was standing next to him. He saw Ma next to him on the altar. He saw Ma next to him, and on the altar was a Devi again. It wasn't very clear. So in other words, Ma went with them, said, go to the Shakti Peeth. So they went, and Ma was with them, but they saw Ma on the altar instead of the Devi. And they were amazed, and then they turned around, and they saw Ma was next to them, and they saw the Murti of the Devi on the altar. So many times people saw Ma as their Ishadevata, either Kali or Krishna, or like this. So we read these things just to, again, just to strengthen our faith in Ma and see that Ma is interdimensional. She's able to work through all the subtle worlds, all the physical worlds. She's able to see us. So it just increases our faith in her and hopefully our feeling of surrender to her, that she will guide our lives if we just trust in her. So let's read a little bit of Ma's words and then we'll go on to the next reading. Sorry. Okay, Ma says, for those who are pilgrims on this path, the path to God, the path to self-realization, it is imperative to forge ahead vigorously, energetically, and steadily with great speed. Sitting in a rickety bullock cart will not do. Dynamic strength of mind is always needed. You yourself have to mold your own life. Keep this in mind. Undertake only work that can be done as worship, and that no time may be wasted by attending to it. Anything at all can be accomplished by sustained effort. She uses these words a lot, sustained effort. You must spare no pains to make the mind concentrated. How many lives have been frittered away in eating, drinking, and sleeping? I am immortal. This is the idea that should give direction to your life. Isn't that wonderful? So let's, again, we don't want to have just too many words. Let's do another kirtan. And as we always say, Ma these days gives darshan through her photos so often. I've met so many people who had direct experiences with Ma, just looking at a photo and suddenly it came to life or whatever. So she lives very much in her photos. So let's have darshan of Ma, and we'll sing Ma Anandamayi Karunamayi. So Anandamayi, this is suffix Mayi, means overflowing with whatever word is before it. So Anandamayi means overflowing with bliss, and Karunamayi means overflowing with compassion. Okay, so I will start the slideshow. Hopefully I'll be able to do this.
Do you want to look at the chat?
Okay, hopefully this will work as a slideshow. So we can have darshan of Ma as we sing. Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. 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 Jai Ma, 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 Jai Ma. Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi. Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi. Together one more time. Anandamayi, Karunamayi, Anandamayi, Karunamayi. Ma. Very good. So I'd like to ask, usually now we have some sharing time, and I want to have that time also, so if you have questions. Oh no, now we have your reading. Yeah, sorry. Don't mind me. So this is, we talked about your co-host, Pragya Halstrom, who couldn't be here today. She's author of the book Mother of Bliss, which has become a classic in Ma's literature. And then just a couple of years ago, she was able to publish these 2 volumes of the Gospel of Anandamayi Ma. And it's available on Amazon. It's not even expensive. And it's she spent 7 years listening to tapes of satsangs of Ma that were recorded, had never been translated before. She spent 7 years translating it, working with some Indian people, and editing it, and it came out with these, Jaya. And it came out with these 2 beautiful books of the Gospel of Anandamayi Ma. So we're going to have a reading from that.
Jai Ma. Tape 33. Sundam Septum, Dehradun, November 23rd, 1974. During this entire satsang, Ma seems to be speaking while in that state of deep samadhi, or absorption in the divine. As such, many of the words she speaks are not clear, and it is even said by one of the swamis toward the end of the satsang that Ma has been speaking in a code language. Question: please tell us how sadhakas, that is, people who follow a spiritual path, can have the darshan of the Atma Tattva hidden in the Nama, the name of God. Shri Ma. There is a marvel in the name.
Oh, so I was just saying, so the question is, how can we see the real self, Atma Tattva, within the Nama? In other words, she's saying, the question is, the name of God, the mantra that we use, how does it reveal the self?
Because everyone always says, God, the name of God is also God.
Yeah.
Srima, there is a marvel in the Nama, the name. By chanting alone, everything is produced. It generates Shakti, divine power. Ma laughs. Hari, Hari, Hari Narayana. God, 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 O God, who dwells within us all. By chanting this Nama, gradually all 3, the name, the devotee who is chanting that name, and the object for which this name is being chanted, become one. Once they are one has the darshan of the self. Once the asana, the meditation, posture, and attitude is right, is perfect, God himself gives Nama Shakti, the power of the name, the light and the state. What, Baba, is this body right? Questioner: yes, Ma. Shri Ma, Baba says it is right. Yes, it is the truth. It has been proven by perception. We are all sitting here. Nobody knows where a person is. Someone says, call him by name, he will come here. If you want to have him here, you have to call him by his name. Once we call his name, he stands up and responds, yes, I am here. Similarly, when one chants the Nama in a perfect way, whatever he desires is manifested to him, is obtained by him. Whatever he wants, the Nama of God, the form of God, or the guna, the quality of God. And what else does he get? He gets light. God does not exist only in the Nama or Rupa. name and form. He is also Anama, nameless, Arupa, formless, Sakara, Saguna, God with form and attributes, and Nirakara, Nirguna, God without form and attributes. That light opens the way. You may have darshan of whatever form you want. He can be seen as Devasvarupa, his divine nature. What is the meaning of Sakara Saguna? It is just like water and ice. Water is there in the ice, and ice is there in the water. What do we mean by akara, actionless action? He agitates the whole world except for himself. He is unagitated. He activates everything, but in him there is no action. With us, the case is totally different. We activate outward things, but even within we are activated, agitated. A beautiful explanation. Stop the action and agitation by going inside through meditation. You will become stira, still. The self with action cannot attune itself with the self who is stira. If we want to attune ourselves with him, we must have identical wavelengths, and for that, we too must become stira and actionless inside. Those who want to have his darshan as Nirakara, God without form, and Nirguna, God without attributes, can have his darshan in that very form. Water takes the form of the vessel into which it is poured. God does not do anything. He is an actionless action. There is no question of who with him. The word who is used for another person. But with God, there is no other self. He sports with himself. Yogeshwara, Atmarama, the Lord of Yoga, the Lord as Lord Rama, Premasvarupa, God in the form of love, whatever name you give him, it's he only. He belongs to all sampradayas, that is, lines of thinking and philosophy. That is why he is called Bhagavan, Lord, and Parabrahman, Paramatma, the highest Brahman and the highest self. You grasp any letter or any word, it is his name. It is he. It will purify you, and every drop of Ganga Jal purifies. Ga stands for Gopal or Govinda, two names of the child Krishna. Ga stands for Ganga. You say that Ganga purifies you. Govinda and Gopala purify your mind. What this body says, that it is Ga that purifies you. The letter itself is significant. It is the name of God. As he is the purifier, so all the things that purify have been given a name, starting with that very letter. How well these Mahatmas have shed the light. He is you alone. You alone are he. How well these sages are showering you with nectar. He himself is showering you so that he manifests himself to himself. All these talks and discussions go on where there is something lacking, something absent. Absence and lacking are the forms of the abhava, the absence of the self. The mind that is filled with God has no abhava, and where there is no abhava, there is no scope for all these arguments. He is Bhava, the Supreme Being. Existence of the self is Svabhava, essential nature. The absence of the self is Abhava. He is also Bhavatita, beyond existence. Where there are no gunas, attributes, bhavas, or moods also exist. Let me say that again. Where there are no gunas or attributes, moods or bhava also exist. One cannot grasp the gunas. That is why bhava is kept in guna. The editor's note, Ma seems to be speaking in a code language. What are these good qualities? They are the visible forms of bhava, existence. Svabhava means essential nature. What is the essential nature of a person? Nature is the visible form of what existence, of what he himself is. This isness, belonging to a person, is called bhava, existence. Svabhava, essential nature, is the source of all qualities. Good svabhava, good qualities. Bad svabhava, bad qualities. To adopt the qualities of Rama, one should become Rama. He should adopt his bhava, his svabhava. Qualities can easily be adopted if one merges his nature or bhava with that of the person whose qualities he wants to adopt. When we want to achieve the qualities of God, we should adopt his bhava, his nature, his moods, or his qualities. I should become he. Once the bhava of I changes and merges with he, all of his qualities flow into us. What is God? He is bhavatita, beyond qualities. That is, he is bhava. If we want to be he, we should also become bhavatita. We should not have any feeling of duality. That is called dvandva, dvandvatita, beyond duality, in the Bhagavad Gita. Questioner says, very good.
So what are your thoughts about that reading? There's so much material in there.
If we're looking for God consciousness, we need to immerse ourselves in the teachings, the movies, the stories of God. And in our free time, we need to repeat the name.
Good. What she said. No, it's true. God, there's so much in this reading. But she starts by talking about how the name of God is that everything is achieved by chanting. She says it right there. She says, in the name is everything. It's God with form, without form. But this is the way Ma spoke. She just, and in this particular excerpt, she's very inwardly drawn, and she just spoke these amazing things, but very simply, like a little girl. And Ma's universality is so wonderful, and it's so desperately needed in these times when everyone's arguing with each other. She talks about how all the sampradayas, that is, all the world's religions, all the paths, all go to the same goal, and how they all are founded by God, and how God is available through this. And notice she says doing japa, but she also says we have to have meditation. That was an interesting point. She says God is Brahman, the absolute is absolute still, and he, she, it moves the creation while remaining still. And so he says if we want to join with God, we have to have the same attribute of stillness. We have to enter into stillness. The other thing that struck me was she said, when the asana is right, everything happens. The asana is usually just the way you sit, either with cross-legged or in a chair, but you sit still. But I think it also means when you have set yourself in that point of stillness and completeness, really learning to concentrate and put the mind on the mantra, then these things happen.
I don't want to say too much because I want everybody else to have a chance to talk. But in this time of A-Dharma, it's nice to watch the Ramayana, which you can watch on YouTube, and see what Dharma really is, how to really behave. Because we don't get good examples of that.
Wow, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ram brought Dharma to the world. Yeah, he was a righteous leader. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's real quick. Anyone else? Not real quick, but anyone else have any thoughts just about this reading? I want to have a couple of other sharings, but any other thoughts about what this reading inspired in your minds and hearts, or questions about it or anything? Anybody? Please feel free to speak. Just unmute and speak.
I have a question. Stira, as she uses it, means stillness, but am I wrong in thinking that stira also means strength?
Yeah. Yeah. Stira is a firmness, and it's a stillness through absolute firmness. In other words, you're quiet, you're still, you're firm. Stira. We even say that to the kids. We say stira, stiro beto. Sit quietly still, erect and straight.
We were just talking last night about a friend who calls his wife the immovable object.
Oh yeah.
Say what you said was really lovely.
I remember he said his daughter was really just wild, and she said she was the unstoppable object that
force.
The unstoppable force that met the immovable object. The mother was the immovable object.
And she was very kind, but she was solid.
That's stira. That's stira. Still but sturdy, firm. Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions about the reading?
Yeah.
Okay,
hi guys.
Hi, John.
Oh.
Don't
Hi,
look
John.
at me. I'm disfigured. Don't look.
That's okay.
So it's on the hunched lip of Notre Dame today. Anyway, so I just got back from St. Francis shrine, and I heard this rumor that Christ has risen. I was wondering if you had heard that rumor as well.
Truly he is risen.
I had a feeling you probably heard it.
Christos anesti.
Anistos anesti.
Anistos anesti. Very good. We're good to see you, John.
Thank you for that piece of good news.
Okay. Any other thoughts about this reading? It's really profound. And again, we really recommend getting the Gospel of Sri Anandamayi Ma from Amazon. It's really very, very interesting to just look at Ma's kind of spontaneous flow of speech and the depth of it. And it'll be very simple and very childlike, but then you look at it, oh my God, the depths of it are just remarkable. You can learn so much from reading it. Good.
Or thrift books, which is much less expensive.
Okay. Okay, well, I want to request two sharings before we just start talking generally. And the first is from Michael, who just recently, I think just last year, was in our Ma Sharanam ashram in India. And I just want to ask him to share his impressions of our ashram, because it's, I think many of you know Swami Guru Sharananda, who is head of that. You know, he's come here many times, and he and I traveled in Europe together, and wonderful, wonderful soul. And it's just an amazing ashram. I'll be back there in late January of next year. But Michael, will you share with us just some of your impressions of Ma Sharanam?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Ma Sharanam, I was there in December for a few days. I wish I had planned more time to stay, because it's a really remarkable place. I couldn't believe it, what they've done there. The shrines, the temples, there's six or eight temples. They're all unique and very beautiful. And it's I was at Ma's Samadhi Shrine in Kankal, and then I was also in Varanasi at her ashram visiting, and I felt the same vibe at Ma Sharanam, just really, really deep presence of Ma there. And on top of just the beauty and the peacefulness of that place. And I know talking to people about how it happened and how they were called to come there and start the ashram there in this place that was like a kind of a wilderness way out in the middle of nowhere by the Narada River. And it's very close to the river. It's a very beautiful place where you can go swimming. But probably the most impressive thing about Ma Sharanam was the boys. At are at the school there for indigent young boys. And I just was completely bowled over by those kids. I was saying to somebody yesterday, we live in a dark age, but those boys don't live in this age. They're completely, I maybe from like an earlier time or something where just the potential, I felt like they were embodying like the potential of what it is to be human, because they had so much joy and innocence and devotion, and it was just so beautiful to be with them. And I go around, in the morning, early morning, to the shrines, to the temples, chanting with them. And they were so inspiring. Their hearts were so into it. And they just seemed to be, they enjoyed themselves, and they were taking care of me. Like they were helping me do yoga and stuff. It was just the whole thing. And I said, when I met Guru Sharananda, before I left, he wasn't there most of the time. And I said, this is amazing what you've done here. Like, you've created these amazing temples. And he says, we didn't do any of that. Ma did all of that. Like, that shows like where he's coming from. But I was just really a real treat to have gone there. And like, I would like to go back. I don't know what else to say, really. Really enjoyed meditating there, chanting there, and the temples and everything. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for that sharing. Yeah, it's a very, very special place. We have a little kutir there. They gave me land there since I was there with them from the beginning. Yeah, Swami Guru Sharananda runs it very selflessly. He really steps out of the way and he says, Ma's doing everything. It's true. And you do feel Ma's presence there. It's amazing. See, we had a school for about 450 kids, boys and girls, a day school and a hostel. But then from COVID, since the middle of COVID, it was after COVID, it was a couple of years ago, we had to close the school. But they still do some classes for the girls in the afternoon, but we kept up the Gurukul, which is, the training ground for these young boys. I think there's 40 boys now, from ages very young up to about 19 or 20. And it's just, it is true. The kids are incredible. Swamiji's trained them and they do all the pujas, they do all the worships, they do everything. They're very disciplined, but it's true, they're very joyful. They sing, they dance, they love being there. It's a heavenly place. It really is.
The kids are a delight.
Yeah.
And also, people think of India as just bereft and sad and poor people. I'm telling you, their life is so much better than ours. Yeah, they're poor, but so what? It is a delightful, joyful life. They are so blessed.
Yeah. And we have a beautiful guest house. People who want to visit. It's in Madhya Pradesh, central India.
If you look on the their Facebook page, you can see all the great pictures of the kids when they're celebrating the holidays and everything. You really get a taste of the joy and the color. It's so lively and colorful. I didn't witness any of that, but it's just a joy to look at that.
Yeah. Festivals are really, really wonderful there. And the kids are so talented. They're called Adivasi. That means Aboriginal tribal children from very, very poor families in this area. This is the second school we started there. This is kind of a new project in a sense. But they're so talented. There's amazing musicians among them. They're able to play the harmonium, the drums, and sing, and do all the classical music. And they dance. They're dancing well. It's just incredible to see. Yeah, really beautiful.
I've been there on some of the boys' birthday, and the kitchen is, a yoga kitchen, so there's no garlic or onions. Of course, vegetarian, no eggs. But on the birthday, they take a big pot outside, and they can make these little dough balls with some garlic in them, I think, right?
Yeah.
Big deal.
It's outside the kitchen, so onions and garlic.
Go outside. And the birthday boy chooses what songs, what kirtan they're going to sing. That's the present. And the boys are so excited. They're dancing. The one whose birthday it is, he's going crazy at the kirtan. And that's what they do for a couple hours, and it's a delight. It's the best birthday.
Yeah. But they're trained in, you should see them do yoga asanas. They're trained in, in hatha
discipline.
yoga and meditation. They meditate every day, and the scriptures and music and science. And it's a regular school too. Really amazing, yeah.
What were you going to say, Michael?
Well, there was the one boy, I can't remember his name, but he's older. He's like 22. And he was helping, he took me to the river and everything. I can't remember his name, but he impressed me so much. He was going to school to study yoga and yoga philosophy, and he was an artist, and he was a musician. He was leading chants. He was like a Renaissance young man. He was doing it all because he had this he grew up there. He grew up there, and then he was like 22, so he was kind of heading, the boys. But I was so impressed with him. Just like, as I say, like the potential of what a person could be, like growing up in that environment, it was just really changed my view of human beings.
Yeah.
Maybe in our next life we could be so blessed.
Very good. Thank you, Michael. You can look at mashadranam.org if they have a website. Now, thank you, Michael. That was really wonderful, and get a view of Sharanam from there. I'd like to ask our friend Ramdev to. We introduced him earlier. He's a disciple of Neem Karoli Baba. He had Ma's darshan several times. I'd love you to share whatever memories you have of what it was like to be in Ma's presence, because some of us are with Ma. Some of the people, I think, usually some of the other people who were with Ma are here, but not today. But we always like to hear just people's impressions of Ma, what it felt like, what you experienced. So Ramdev.
Yes, thank you. So I was blessed to be in India in 1970 and 1971. And I had known Ramdas before I went there, and ended up being with Neem Karoli Baba, who was very clearly my guru. And maybe it was, I would say, the end of 1970, Maharaji went to Vrindavan, where he has one of his ashrams. And it turned out that Ma was at her ashram. So we had this remarkable time when in the morning we'd go to Ma's ashram, and then we'd spend the afternoon with Maharaji, and then we'd go back to Ma's ashram in the evening. And then we'd come back to the guest house and we'd talk about what we'd experienced and how remarkable it was. It was almost too much. It's hard to describe. And certainly the time with Ma and the time with Maharaji were very different. Maharaji was incredibly informal. It was not like run by the Brahmins. In fact, he had Westerners cooking in the kitchen and people rubbing his feet and joking and things. But when we were with Ma, she was very, very, very loving. She clearly loved Maharaji a lot. She would feed him with her hand. She would put food in his mouth, and he treated her like his mother, and she treated him like a child. And it was just delightful to watch that. When any of us would ask her a question, her response was almost always, just ask your guru. He is your guru. Do what he says. Don't do what I say. Do what he says. But then later, she was in Delhi, and I had some business to do in Delhi, something about my visa, I think. And there was a very, very large gathering at the Delhi ashram. There was, I don't know, my memory is there were like hundreds and hundreds of people in the room. I might be wrong, but it seemed like a huge hall. And at this point, she was quite old. Her voice was very frail and thin. And yet, when I heard her singing with this room full of so many people, it was not only the sweetest devotion-filled voice, but it had the strength to fill the universe. It was hard to understand that the voice physically could be not what you say was a good voice, a strong voice. She was a small old woman, but the Shakti in the voice was incredibly powerful. And it reminded me of a story that I don't know where it came to me, but somebody told us the story where in her ashrams, the tradition is that the cooks don't buy food for more than that day because it shows lack of faith in God. You don't store up wheat for the chapatis and dal or ghee or anything like that. Just buy enough for the day. But the cook decided, well, nobody will know the difference. I'm going to buy some extra stores and hide it in the back of the room there and just save us some trouble. And I won't have to go shopping every day. So the very next meal, some of you may know the story already, I don't know. At the very next meal, they brought out her typical meal of some dal and some chapatis. And she ate her usual meal and she said, bring me more. So they brought her another plate and she ate another meal and she said, bring me more. Now the cook started to get very worried. And she ended up, I forget, eating 9 or 10 or 12 plates of food, which was remarkable for such a small person. And she called the cook out, who was like shaking in his boots, his shoes, his sandals, his bare feet, whatever he was shaking in there. And she said, don't you know who I am? I could eat the entire universe if I wanted. Do not do that ever again. And that was the quality that was in her voice as she was singing. So it just felt to me like she was the mother, Maharaji was the father, and yet Maharaji had a very motherly quality and she had a very strong quality. Both, they were both completely beyond gender qualities, if you will. So just the richness of that. She blessed this mala that I have on, as did Maharaji. It's my most prized possession in the world. If you'd like to ask me any questions, I do have to confess that at the beginning of the meeting, I did get a phone message that unfortunately a 13-year-old girl is dying and her parents want to talk to me. So when I'm done speaking here, I'm going to leave the room. But if anybody has any remarks or questions, I'd be very glad to talk to you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ramdas, for those memories. Ramdev, anyone have any questions? Please ask Ramdev. You can ask anything about Ma. Don't be shy.
Oh, John, what happened to your mouth there? What's going on, buddy?
I've got it. That's why I'm the hunch lip of Notre Dame. I've got cold sores on my lip. And so that's why I look so disfigured.
Okay.
And
just wondering.
It's so funny, Ramdev. I talked to John. John's a dear friend of ours too. And he said, when I told him you and I met and had dinner, we had such a great meeting. He said, I've been trying to get you guys together for years, and neither you or I remembered that. But John I didn't even know you knew John. But so it's so funny.
He wasn't trying very hard. He was not trying very hard at all.
That's wonderful. Some of my memories of Ma, I know what you mean. These amazing paradoxes that Ma embodied. Like you're saying, the fragile woman with this all-powerful bhav in her voice, even though it wasn't strong. What always amazed me was I'd always go to Satsangs early so I could sit right near where she's sitting. I could look up at her, just have her vision have her form fill my full vision. And one thing that kept coming across was she was so, on one level, she was just so empty that there was nothingness in front of you. There was just empty nothingness. And also infinite humility. She was so small, she was so frail, so simple. But as she sat, she was the unquestioned queen of the universe. And we're used to great men and women having a great ego. Like they come in, they have a presence. I am so great, blah 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 blah. But Ma was just there, an emptiness itself, and nothingness, and a total humility and meekness. But at the same time, just this regal majesty. It was a total paradox. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you saw it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both she and Maharaji would like that. He would say, I don't do anything, God does it all. But then occasionally he would say something like, the whole universe is mine, right? And it just depends on what level of consciousness they were existing in at the time. But certainly when either one of them would say, I can eat the whole universe or something like that, it was done with no sense of ownership or egoness at all, obviously. And one felt incredibly safe and protected, and like nothing could possibly go wrong at all when you were in that presence.
Very, very good point. Yes, yes. It's so great talking to you because besides all the common ground we have, just remembering all these things about Ma. Yeah, it's true. When I would have several private, I would have a private with Ma whenever I could, to kind of discuss my spiritual life and my practice that she had given me. And it's true. I finally learned to write down the questions because I would have all these questions and I would come and sit in front of Ma and look at her and there were no questions and there was no problem and everything was perfect. And I would say, okay, I'd just sit there with her. But finally I'd write them down so I remember, okay, Ma, I have this question and this problem, because they wouldn't be in her presence. It's like you say, you felt protected. You felt you were at the center of the universe. Yeah.
So I wonder if the scene around Ma was the same as around Maharaji, where in one way it's easy to talk about how wonderful it was, but it was also extremely difficult. Because I felt like I was, at least in the beginning, that I was dying of thirst. And I had come to the ocean of nectar and bliss. And Maharaji was pouring it into me, but I was like a sieve and it was all just running out of me. My assumed inadequacy was not allowing me to be able to admit that I was able to be who he saw me as. It took a while. And there was he kept seeing me a place where I was whole that I couldn't see. And eventually I began to believe him. But that in the beginning, it was very painful because he kept seeing something and occasionally I would have a glimpse of it. But a lot of the time I would feel I was inadequate, I was angry, I was horny, I was whatever was going on. And he was seeing this perfection and it was very dissonant in a certain way. Gradually it wore away those places in me. But when we were on Maharaji, we called it the grace race, right? And all of the devotees were trying to get to hold his feet and get to be close with Ma because we were only there as guests and it was only very temporary. It was not that same intensity, if you will. But being there with Maharaji day after day after day and having these punctuations of intense Shakti and wisdom and love. Let me tell you just one story about Maharaji, if I might, if that's okay to tell a Maharaji story instead of Ma's story.
Absolutely.
So I was sitting in front of Maharaji with one other Western devotee, a guy named Mohan. It was right after we first got there, so I didn't quite know what was going on yet. I had just spent 10 years studying math at Cal and Stanford, so my mind was, as you could imagine, kind of a mess. And Maharaji was talking to these Indian people, and he turned to us and said, how much do you pay for milk in America? And Mohan made a quick calculation, so many rupees per kilo, Maharaji. And Maharaji turned to the Indians and was all excited. Can you imagine how much they pay for milk in India? He went on and on and on about it. And I started getting bored. I figured I've come to India to get enlightened, not to talk about the price of milk. And then I thought, maybe he's not who I think he was. Maybe Ramdas doesn't know what he's talking about here. And he turned to us a second time. He said, how much was it again? Mohan told him again. He went back to the Indians and was saying, oh, can you imagine? And this explosion happened in my mind that I knew came from him. I don't know how to tell you that, but he told me inwardly, we can talk about important things. We can talk about the Dharma. We can talk about God. But if we're just talking about mundane things, it allows us to rest in the ocean of bliss because the mind doesn't have to be busy. And I went into this bliss state for the rest of the day that was so deep, I had a hard time functioning, right? So that it really, in a way, showed me that all my mathematical mind, all my need for information and who was God and everything, it was kind of getting in the way. It was much more about surrender and receiving, something that was always there every moment.
Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. There's a Sikh Shabad that says, may my forehead be always on the feet of the saints, and may they turn my ego to dust. And we both experience being with a saint is wonderful. It gives you blessings that you can never imagine or even attain yourself. It is sometimes really, really hard and really painful. Ma once said, no, it was Gopinath Kaviraj. Gopinath Kaviraj was a great pundit who was an adamant devotee of Ma. And he was also a saint in his own right, a great yogi. And he said, when you go to many saints, I'm sure this applies to Maharaji also, when you go to many saints, they're full of sattva guna. You know, they're very full of this light quality, element of nature, there's this light, and they give you a blessing of light. When you go near somebody like Ma, and I think Maharaji also, Ma was three guna tita. She was beyond the gunas.
Mm-hmm.
She said, when you go to her, everything comes out from inside. And that's with the saints, that's when you really get their blessings, is the hard part, you know. The sudden, like you said, you see yourself, you see yourself and all this stuff, in yourself. But it's beautiful the way you said, Maharaji saw in you something that you didn't see, but he brought it out. That's beautiful too. You can read, I wrote this book about Ma, this small book about Ma, a goddess among us, and I talk about my diksha in there. In that Ma, I was kept asking Ma for diksha, and then finally she said, the next day, come to the temple, you had the diksha, it was my birthday, I was all excited, and I got there, and somebody Bhaskar said, sit here in this little shrine here, and Ma will come in about 5 or 10 minutes and just meditate a little bit. And I sat there, and Ma kept me waiting for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And the minute I sat down, like every possible negativity, just like, what was it, like a sewer gushing out through the portals, and I just said, she just let it just burn and burn and burn. I was ready to, and really, I heard my ego literally screaming, get out of here now, run before it's too late, So she made me just sit through that, and finally when it slowly subsided, and then she walked in. So yeah, it's true, being with the saints, it flushes you out. But that's a beautiful description of what you said too. But it also reminds me of another thing, a similar thing. Ma would meet with a lot of her swamis in the evenings. At a certain time, she would just say, okay, we all met and they talked a little bit, And this one devotee was saying, oh God, I'd love to be with that. That's when they really talk about the real stuff, boy, oh boy, I love it. So one time he asked one of the swamis, going, can I come with you? And they said, oh yeah, come on, So they went and they sat and they're talking. And what are they talking about? They're talking about who's got the train tickets for the next part of the journey, what's on the menu for tomorrow, how many people are coming, do you have enough leaf plates? All these practical things. And the guy was so disappointed, like he was saying, oh man, I thought it was going to be good stuff, So finally he said, Ma, I thought you were going to talk about really high esoteric things. And Ma smiled and said, there's no difference. There's no higher or lower. This is just as important as the, what is Brahman attributes, and this thing, it's all the same, it's true. But I like that you said, when Maharaji said, now you can just relax in the bliss, so instead of having to activate your mind. Beautiful. Well, Rami, as you see, we definitely have to have another dinner together because we could go on like this for hours. But I'm so glad we're sharing this and it's being recorded so people can hear these wonderful stories of what it's like to be with this wonderful saint, Neem Karoli Baba, who loved Ma very much and who, they played together, like mother and child, and it's just very beautiful. In the divine, there's so much playfulness, and the saints illustrate that. The saints, the real saint is joyful and happy and full of birth and play. Yeah. Anything else you want to share before I understand you have to run off, and thank you for giving us your time.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I mean, I remember once we were sitting in front of Maharaji. I did think of something. We were sitting in front of Maharaji, and somebody had a journal where they had put photographs and pictures and things in. And Maharaji looked down and there was a picture of Buddha. And Maharaji said, who's that? And the person said, oh, that's Buddha. And Maharaji said, oh no, that's Maharaji. Now, Krishnadas tells the story that there was a picture of Maharaji, and Maharaji says, "Oh no, that's Buddha." So I don't know whose memory is better there, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is I don't think there's any distinction between Ma and Buddha and Maharaji and Hanuman and Krishna and all those things. And it really, when your partner was reading there about, or maybe you were talking about Puri, I guess. And I remember back in the day when they used to have in Golden Gate Park, the Hare Krishna people had the Jagannath Puri celebration.
Still do.
And people,
Go to that every year.
We still go.
oh, do they still do that?
Yeah. We
Oh, well,
Juggernaut every year.
who knew? Okay. Yeah. So, and in fact, Jagannath Puri, Jagannath, that big cart, is where the word juggernaut comes from.
Yeah.
Because the wheels are so big that once it gets going, you can't really stop it. And actually, there are times when people get so crazed to be close to the cart, they get crushed by the wheels.
Yeah.
What a way to go, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I am going to try to get a hold of this person who's in need right now.
Okay.
And I think we're supposed to meet each other in a few weeks or something, right?
That's right. We have a date on the calendar. That's really good. We'll
Yes, we do.
Go this time. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ramdev. It was a
Ram
pleasure
Ram.
for all of us, and we will have it on our website so people can share this and see these stories about Maharaj. Ram Ram.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
So much love to everybody. And John, I hope you get better soon.
Jai Ma. Beautiful. Okay. What a blessing. Wow. What a blessing. Okay, well, we have a few minutes and we'll have a quick meditation together, but anyone else have any thoughts, any questions, any comments about these wonderful readings and blessings we've had? Very quiet group today. Linda, are you trying to say something? Okay.
Nice to see you, Linda and David.
Yeah. Well,
I just love to hear these stories. They bring so much light. And even just sitting here, I've felt like I was really in dark days recently. I can feel the light of Ma through you, Acharya-Ji. Just kind of lifting those things off, and then hearing the stories of thinking, how difficult it is. I realize, well, that's I'm being shown that that needs to get burned off. And so I lost my book. I have no idea. It disappeared. And then I thought, oh, Ma's upset with me. And then I have a book of Kali that I've had since it was first published in 1993 that I've never read. And I started reading it. And then I realized, oh, Ma, you wanted me to read this book. You wanted me, because I realized since I was a kid, I have always loved Kali. Always. Before I knew anything about anything, it was Ganesha and Kali. That was it. So
beautiful. Yeah, it is true. Ma there's no small things there's nothing too large or too small for Ma. It is true. There'll be little things that happen. Like you're usually losing your watch. Little things will happen.
But I also don't think you should say Ma's mad at me.
Never. Very true.
I think that could be kind of the Western.
Yeah.
thing.
yes, that I realized that, but I looked. I had taken it to my mother's house and I'd picked some things up. So I went back there, looked everywhere. I've looked everywhere in my apartment and in my car. And that is where the Western mind went to until I picked up the Kali book. And for the first time, I've been carrying around since 1993, carrying this book around. So what's that? Like over 30 years, right? And I finally started reading it, and that's when I realized, no, Ma's telling me that I need to go deeper into Kali right now. And then I read something about how when a statue of Kali was vandalized and the hand was broken off, that Ma was trying to break her hand off. And at the very same time that the statue had been vandalized. That's how connected she was with Kali. So, you know, it took me a while to realize I'm not being punished, I'm being guided.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that story, it was the Kali and Ma's ashram in Bengal. And it's true, they found out thieves had broken in and broken the hand, trying to take the bracelets off. And Ma was way somewhere else different. And all morning she was going like this, pain in her hand, pain in her hand. They found, because yeah, it's true, she was so connected. Is the book by Usha Hayward? No, Usha. Is a book by someone named Usha, an American lady?
She is American, and she's the one who created the ashram or the
The Kali
temple.
Temple. Oh,
Yeah, the Kali Temple in California, down in San Diego. Yeah,
a very, very dear friend of mine. I've known her for literally 30 years.
I thought you might know her.
And Gloria just met her. We were down there with a group of people. In fact, Rainu and some of us all drove down to Southern California. We did a trip with doing kirtan on the way, and we stopped there and had darshan. Usha's a wonderful, wonderful soul. She used to be an actress. Very wonderful, devoted person to Kali. If you ever get a chance, it's in Laguna Beach, just south of Los Angeles. It's a genuine Kali temple.
Tell her the story about her car. Her car license plate says Kali.
She has this big black car, and and the license plate just says Kali. And one time she was stopped by a cop, and the cop was going to give her a ticket, and he said, "What is it? Who is this Kali?" And Usha's Austrian. She has this beautiful Austrian accent. She says, "Kali is a fierce Indian goddess who takes care of her devotees."
Protects her devotees.
Yeah, protects her devotees. And the cop said, "Okay," and just backed off and left. But see, yeah, let's talk about this one thing about how this concept of the vengeful, punishing God is fortunately a demonic fabrication of people who just want to be in charge and scare people in religion. It's really awful, and it's the most horrible disservice that the men have ever done to God, is turning him into this monster. Ma said many times, God has nothing but love and protection for everyone. God has put into force the law of karma. So when we do adharmic things, we get the karmic reaction, and it's painful. And so hopefully that's just for learning. So we say, oh, let's not do those things. God never punishes. God never sends to hell. God, Ma, however we think of God, is always there as a loving friend. Always. And in every true religious tradition on the inner side, that is really stressed more and more. And that's really wonderful.
And like you, I was raised in the West, so I have to keep learning that again and again. It takes a while. Certainly, I don't think I've got it down.
Yeah.
But
I
also
mean, it took me a while to even think, well, I lost the book, but I can afford another one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to finish this Kali book because maybe Ma hid herself from me, so I would read this book, which is really about Ma as well. And but I thought, well, if someone finds it, then I've given a gift to someone, Ma, that but I've had things disappear and then reappear when I need it. But we were talking, Gloria, you were talking about reading or watching the Ramayana. There's a movie on Netflix called Kalki. Many of us are saying it's time, Kalki. It's time. And the book, I mean, the movie is really like to bring youngsters in. It's got a lot of, it's very in the future, very robotic, and lots of fighting scenes that go on far too long. I think the movie's 2 hours and 45 minutes, and really 45 minutes of that could probably have been cut out. But it's also the way that it's the way that different cultures tell a story. But I found myself so emotional. And I realized that part of it was just, this deep memory of these stories about the gods and goddesses, and that, any of those stories, when we connect or we are connected, we in any way that they're told, because obviously, even with all this kid-like, structures and things in this movie, that when told with faith and with love and devotion, that we all connect to it. And so I found myself very emotional, like
Wow.
in a way that wasn't sadness but was just that deep connection and understanding.
That's good.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But another thing, Jennifer, you talk about you're going through some rough times, and that's sadhana. like we're talking about Ma, that when you drew near her, she brought everything out. And someone came to Ma once and said the same thing. I'm having such difficulty times, and this is coming out and that. And she said, you can't keep these snakes in your breast. They'll bite you from inside. They all have to come out. So that's sadhana does that, and coming near Ma does that. It just brings out these things, these sadnesses, and these things we have to look at and examine and work through them. But also that's another reason for this satsang. Satsang, Ma stressed it time and time again. Swami Bhaskarnanda also encourages, have satsang. I was told by the ashram, have satsang whenever you can, because for this very reason, we encourage each other. We inspire each other. We tell stories. We hopefully break through any kind of darkness that's still in our mind. That we help each other through satsang. It's so important.
Yes, I was wishing that you would do this every week, if not every other.
Well, you tune into Pragya's satsang. She does one 2 or 3 times a week. And,
Tuesday nights, is it?
Yeah, Tuesday nights, but also she does this, I think the first Sunday, she does a satsang on Zoom also. So look at that. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, anything else, Jennifer, that you want to say? Okay, well, our time's about up. One bit of news is we had a board meeting of, we call it Samat, Sri Anandamayi Ma Ashram and Temple, which Pragya is the president of at the moment. I'm a board member, and we're trying to work out when we have our next Samyan Sapta, which is the long weekend retreat. I think this last year we did it 4 days in upstate New York at the Shivananda Ranch. It was our first in-person Matri Satsang since COVID, and it was very successful. What did we have, like 40 people there?
Maybe 30, 40.
30 or 40 people, all very, some of you were there, and Swami Guru Sharananda, who we were just talking about from Ma Sharanam, came, and he and I taught the classes, and we had kirtan, and it was just a very, very wonderful, joyful time with Ma. And we're trying to pinpoint a date for this coming year, for this year, and we're having trouble getting when we can get Swamiji over here, because he has to come after Navaratri, Durga Puja. So we finally, we got in our meeting, we got it down. We've checked with Swamiji. It's going to be mid-October.
Do you know the date?
Yeah. It's going to be mid-October. But if people can just pencil in their calendars, if they can join us, it's a wonderful time. Swamiji is going to be giving a several-day retreat earlier, like probably the 9th of October through the 13th or 14th. And then we're thinking of starting the Samyan on the 17th, arrive on the 16th, the 17th through the 20th of October. That's a Friday through a Monday, with arriving on a Thursday. 17th to 20th of October. And it's not totally confirmed yet, but we hopefully will be an Arsha Gurukulam. It's Swami Dayananda's ashram in upstate Pennsylvania. And we're going to have exact time where you fly in, and we're going to have try to have some shuttle from the airport to the place.
So I'm sorry, it starts what day?
17th.
Starts on which day?
It actually starts on the
Friday?
Friday 17th of October. We'll arrive on the 16th.
And ends?
20th
Sunday?
or 21st. And it ends on Monday the 20th of October.
So we stay till Monday.
Yeah. So if you could look ahead and see if you could put aside time in your calendar and join us. It's going to be a very, very wonderful time. It was we got a lot of experiences last year doing it on practical methods of how to make it easier for people.
So let's be clear here. So we fly in Thursday, we fly out Monday afternoon.
Yeah, or
Okay.
Monday or afternoon, or Tuesday morning, however we want to do it. And we'll have more details on that as it comes about, but if people could see if they could come, it's going to be a wonderful time. And I will be in India at Ma Sharanam at the end of January if you want to come hang out with us there. Okay, and we'll be here next third Sunday. We usually have more time to meditate, but it's about time now.
Christ is risen.
Yes. So thank you all for coming, and hang in there. Keep doing your sadhana. Keep remembering Ma, and we'll see you soon. If you want to go to Galley View and unmute and say goodbye, we love hearing everybody and saying goodbye to everyone. Thank you, Katya. Thank you, Kirtan.
Thank
Jai Ma.
you.
Thank you.
Jai Ma.
Thank you, Emma.
Happy
Thank you, everybody. Bless you.
Emma.
Easter.
Thank you. Good. Yeah. Thank you, Michael, for your sharing too.
You're not very loud.
Thanks, all of you.
Namaste.
Take care. Hope we will see you next month or whenever in Ma's time.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Jai Ma to all.